we'll talk about what happened the last time is where Bassanio has won Portia's hand. He was able to choose the right casket. And then he talks about how he feels he's not worthy. He's bragged too much about what he had. Actually, he said he has nothing, but he's even worse than nothing. And then he talks about he sees a letter, and he talks about the letter. He says the letter is like the body of my friend when he talks about Antonio. And he said every word in it is a gaping wound, which is issuing life blood, which is gushing out, or blood is rushing out. So he asks Salerio, is it true, Salerio, hath all his ventures failed? Why not even one hit? That means not even one has succeeded? Has not one ship come back from Tripolis or from Mexico, England, Lisbon, Barbary, India? Not one vessel has escaped the rocks that ruin ships? Now Salerio says, okay, we had stopped at this, okay, children? So now Salerio says, not one, my lord. He confirms that not even one ship escaped the wreck. And besides, it should appear that if he had the present money to discharge the Jew, he would not take it. Am I being heard? Children, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So then he says that even if Bassanio, if Antonio had the money now, the present money, that he had the money today to discharge or pay off his dues, the Jew, he would not take it. That is, Shylock is refusing to take it. Never did I know a creature that did bear the shape of man. He says that I have never known such a creature. He calls him a creature, that is, he's calling him inhuman. That did not bear the shape of man. That is, he did not have the form of a man. He doesn't have the feelings of a man. So keen and greedy to confound man. He's so eager. He's so keen and greedy, eager to destroy a man. Confound is destroy a man. Who's this man? This is Antonio. He plies the Duke at morning and at night. So he keeps bothering. He keeps appealing to the Duke also every morning and night, and doth impeach the freedom of the state. And he keeps threatening action against the legal system, that if he is denied justice, if the bond is not followed, then he will sue them for breaking the agreement. Could you all put yourselves on mute, whoever is just joined? The Duke himself and the Magnificos, he says the Duke as well as the noblemen, every person of importance, 20 merchants, that is the merchants because he belongs to the fraternity of merchants, they've all tried to persuade him, but none can drive him from the envious plea of forfeiture of justice and his bond. But none of them are able to dissuade him or get him away from going for his penalty, that is, following the conditions of the bond. Now Jessica says, now Jessica here has come up, you know, Jessica has made an interview with Lorenzo. So she says here, when I was with him, I have heard him swear to Tubal and to Chus. Chus is another Jew, his countryman, that he would rather have Antonio's flesh than 20 times the value of the sum. Now Jessica has heard this happening in the house, and somewhere this also reflects on Jessica's character, because when there is something which is shared in confidentiality in the house, it is not supposed to be told out. But Jessica is just doing that. So she's very different from Portia, if you see. She hates her father, and she's talking about him here with him. He says she's heard her father saying that he would not want 20 times the money, but he would want the pound of flesh that he did owe him. And I know, my lord, if law, authority, and power deny not, it will go hard with Antonio. So he says if law and authority doesn't intervene or play a role and stop this whole thing, it will be very difficult for Antonio to extricate himself from the situation, because her father was hell-bent on getting the pound of flesh. Now Portia says, now Portia is just watching all this. She says, is it your dear friend that is thus in trouble? Because she knows nothing about Antonio. Bassanio, the dearest friend to me, the kindest. So he confirms the person that we're talking about, Antonio, he's the dearest friend to me. He's the kindest man, the best conditioned. Best conditioned is having the best intention. and unwearied spirit. He's not tired. He's always completely energized, and he's a very good friend. So this basically gives you a small character sketch of Antonio, if at all it has to be written. In doing courtesies, in showing kindness, he never tires or loses energy to show kindness. And one in whom the ancient Roman honor more appears than any that draw breath in Italy. So he says,
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
okay, and now he says, now am I heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then he says that the old Roman spirit of honor is more in him than any other person who stays in Italy or who is living in Italy. The ancient or the old Roman spirit of honor is more in him than anyone. That is his need or his um, drive to show kindness, to help others, is what they're talking about, old Roman spirit. Now, Portia says she understands that there is some borrowing and taking. Says, what sum is it that he owes the Jew? So she says, Bassanio says it's 3,000 ducats. Now for Portia, 3,000 ducats is a paltry sum. It's a petty sum. Okay, so she says, what? No more? So she's surprised. That's it? That's such a small sum? She says, pay him 6,000 and deface the bond. Deface is cancel the bond. So you pay him double the amount and you cancel the bond. Else, otherwise, she says, double the 6,000, double it further, and then maybe triple it. Treble it is triple it. Before a friend of that description, of this description, lose a hair to Bassanio's heart. So she says, before a person who is so close to Bassanio, who is such a dear friend to Bassanio, will be harmed in any way because of Bassanio, double it, triple it, but give the amount and cancel the bond. But before that, she says, first go with me to church and call me wife. That is, marry me, and then you can and then away to Venice to your friend, and then you can go to Venice and take care of the whole situation. For never shall you lie by Portia's side with an unquiet soul. So it is not possible that I can have you next to me as my husband and me as your wife when you've got a troubled mind, when you're being troubled by the thought that your dearest friend is in a problem. You shall have gold to pay the petty debt 20 times over. So see how magnanimous or so generous she is. She says you can take the gold and pay the amount that the debt is petty, but you can pay 20 times over. And when it is paid, bring your true friend along, bring him along. My maid Nerissa and myself, meantime, will live as maids and widows. In the meantime, don't bother about us. We'll stay here as maids. Maids is unmarried people, so not thinking that we have married. So you can be rest assured that we will not trouble you. We will be here waiting for you when you come back. So come away, for you shall hence upon your wedding day. Sorry, bid your friends welcome. So today is your wedding day, but be cheerful, be happy, show a merry cheer, that is, show a happy face. And then after that, you can depart. Since you are a dear broad, since I have got you with so much of trouble, he says it was not easy to get you. She has won him over. She has achieved him with difficulty. The trauma, the anxiety that she has gone through before he chose the casket is what she is referring to here. I will love you, dear, but let me hear the letter of your friend. But she says, before all that, let me hear the letter, contents of the letter. Now, here in this speech of Portia's, this dialogue of Portia's, she gives some instructions. So you have to actually bifurcate it. You have to say, what were the things that Portia said? So first she said, pay the 6,000 ducats. Then she said, you have to go to church with me and marry me, and then you can go to Venice. So if you ask the question wherein Portia's instructions are asked, this is how you have to go about answering it. Now Bassanio reads the contents of the letter. Sweet Bassanio, my ships have all miscarried. My creditors grew cruel. That is, all my ships have got wrecked. My creditors are getting impatient. My estate is very low. That's, my financial condition is absolutely horrible. My bond to the Jew is forfeit. That is, it is due. And since in paying it, it is impossible I should live. All debts are cleared between you and I. So he says, as I pay my debt to the Jew, I will not live after that. It's impossible I should live, because he has realized that Shylock no more wants his money. He wants his life. So all the debts between you and me are cleared, if I might but see you at my death. So he says, I have a small wish that I want to see you before I die. Notwithstanding, use your pleasure, that is, use your own convenience, decide by using your own convenience, feel free to use your own convenience. If your love do not persuade you to come, let not my letter. So if your love for me doesn't persuade you from coming from Belmont and meeting me before I die, So don't worry about this letter. It's okay. You can decide by yourself. It's okay if you don't come, is what Antonio is saying in his letter. Now, Portia says, "Oh, love, dispatch all business and be gone." So he says, "There's no way that you can wait. You have to finish all your business there. Finish all your business here in Belmonto. That is, remember the three things: take the money, marry her before that, and then go off. You go for doing your other duties. Since I have your good leave," Bassanio says, "since I have your good leave to go away, I will make haste. But till I come again, no bed shall e'er be guilty of my stay, nor rest be interposer twixt us twain." So he says, now here Portia has been very noble. She's been very self-sacrificing. She's allowed him to leave on the wedding day itself. She's okay with it. In fact, she's happily asking him to go, and in fact, forcing him to go, giving them gold, the money to repay also. So somewhere Bassanio from his side also feels like, sacrificing from his side, and he feels that uh, and that is why he says that I will not be comfortable, I will not rest on a bed till I return. So somewhere he also feels like giving in or self-sacrificing. That is why he says, with your permission, I will leave. I will make haste, that is, I will go fast, but till I come again, no bed shall e'er be guilty of my stay. That is, I will not use a bed. That is, I will not be use any luxury or comforts till we are apart. Nor rest be interposer. Interposer, rest cannot be a intruder. Interposer is an intruder. Twixt us twain, that is between us. So no rest will come between our unity. So what he tries to say is, I'm going to be working hard. I'll go immediately, do whatever has to be done, and then come back, and only then will I rest. Now with this, we finish off with the part.
Second scene.
Yes, the second scene. And I would just like to you to go through the analysis here. You can see the screen, like. So this is a very long scene. If you have noticed, we started last time, and it brings, this scene has seen the climax of the casket story, which had started in our Act 1. And we've seen how Bassanio chooses, and how Bassanio and Portia have come together. We've also seen two weddings in this particular scene, that is between Bassanio and Portia, as well as Nerissa and Gratiano. And we have seen this scene beginning with the imploring. If you see that, it went on for quite a few pages, where she wanted to delay Bassanio in choosing the caskets, for fear that he would not choose right, and then she would lose him altogether. And here Bassanio also speaks of his feelings. You can see that later on after that. Bassanio's speech touches, there is the song also, if you remember last time that we did, the song also alluded a little bit to appearance, how appearance should not be taken into consideration. It is the depth or the inner reality that is more to be taken into consideration. And that is what has actually helped him choose the right casket. A spell check for late, sorry, children. Bassanio can choose or judge properly only because his motive was love. So though we in the beginning we realized, or we actually assumed, or we even interpreted that Bassanio was behind Portia for her property, somewhere we're very sure that the motive is also love. She is fallen in love with her, and that is what has actually prompted him to, or helped him to choose the right casket. Portia's intelligence is seen in many places. You can see her wit and her sharpness, which keeps coming up, and we will be seeing in the next act also. Now, I'm sure you'll have read the whole scene.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Any doubts that you would like to clarified? You would like to clarify some doubt here, children?
No, ma'am.
Nothing.
No,
Tell me your.
ma'am, I did not understood the Portia's intelligence.
Could you be a little bit louder?
Ma'am, I didn't understood the Portia's intelligence in this scene.
Now, your Portia is intelligent. If you see through and through, she's talked about how she tries to drive away her suitors, how she's trying to prompt Bassanio without breaking her the vow that she has made to her father. And again, after the whole, this is over after, and the song that she's played, wherein she's trying to give a small clue to Bassanio about whether about how to choose the caskets, or what he has to use to choose the casket. And even after that, the way she has been so very prompt in trying to discharge the duties and saying that yes, Bassanio cannot be. She knows that her life as a wife will not be as happy with Bassanio having Antonio on his mind. So she's been very quick by saying, and generous by saying, that you can take all the money that you want and go and discharge all those duties and then come back. So all this she realizes, she's not selfish here, her generosity is also seen. Now intelligence, if you see, actually the intelligence will come up later on, but you can see how prompt she is in decision making. So she says that you will go immediately. Though it is a wedding day, she's ready to sacrifice. Any other lady would have maybe said, you can stay for a few days. Anyway, the worst is come. So you wait here, it's a wedding day, you can finish off all your things here, and then you can go, take your own time and go. But no, she didn't do that. So somewhere it also shows of her intelligence and also of her kindness, because she understands what Bassanio is going through. This also shows her love for him, because it only hurts when you love the person. So she understands his feelings very clearly. Shall we move on to Act 3 if you don't have any other doubts?
Ma'am,
Yes? Is that
ma'am,
Yatharth?
ma'am, Atharva.
Atharva, yes.
Ma'am, in the starting of the scene, ma'am, how was Bassanio in torture?
In the beginning of the scene too,
Yes, ma'am.
what is it?
How was Bassanio in torture?
How is Bassanio? I'm not able to hear you. How is Bassanio?
Ma'am, how was Bassanio in torture?
How's Bassanio in? A little bit.
Torture.
Torture.
In torture, he's being tortured. Okay, that is because he's come here to woo Portia, but in his mind he knows that he could have chosen the wrong casket, isn't it? So if you
Yes.
actually go back to the first scene, you say, for as I am, I live upon the rack. That is, he's agonized whether he'll be able to choose right, because if he chooses wrong, he's lost Portia forever. And then again, the conditions that are attached, though he's not thinking about the conditions attached wherein he cannot woo any other lady. But what is utmost in his mind is that he's agonized that he'll be able to choose right. Because he's come with so much of a positivity that he will be able to woo her. So that is the agony that he's going through. Will I be able to choose the right casket? And hence he says, I don't want to delay it anymore. It is better over and done with. Most of us feel, isn't it, when we have to do a job, that it's better not to sit on it. It's better we finish it off and then rest. So that is what Bassanio also had on his mind. Anything else? Okay. You can always read thoroughly well, mark it. Okay. You can maybe send your query to me by mail also, so I can answer it at length. I have also at the same time sent a worksheet. The worksheets are all short questions. So it would be better if you attempt it. I would definitely send an answer key later on, and it would help you in answering the multi-questions also, which appear for Shakespeare. Okay, so please go through it.
Ma'am, on WebGenie?
Yes. It will be sent through Hemangi ma'am, okay, because it has already gone to her. And the PowerPoints also will be with you. You can always refer to the PowerPoints, but the PowerPoints are just PowerPoints. What I am saying, it is more in detail. So that is why I keep reminding you, do you have your pencils in your hand? Okay, so any query, you can anytime you can address it to me by mail or whatever. Okay. But it is imperative that you read the text. Reading. You should have read it at least 3 times by now after our last lecture. The same goes for henceforth. Please read your text. It becomes more clearer to you as and when you read it. We move to the third scene, Act 3. This is a very short scene.
Ma'am,
Yes?
ma'am, but I don't think tortured is a correct word for that. I think it
It
should
could
be
be
worried.
agony also. Yeah, it could be agony also. He's being agony. He's in agony. He's agonized. So when he says upon the rack is actually the rack is for prisoners, okay, where they are tortured. And hence we're talking about the word tortured. But he is going through that same agony or torture as a prisoner would be.
Okay, ma'am.
Who is that?
Ma'am, it's Sanvi.
Okay, Sanvi, yes. What else do you have to talk about? What is your interpretation? Do you want to share your interpretation? Do you want to share?
No. No.
Okay. Because they have used the word rack, which is usually used for prisoners. Hence, we call it torture. But you can also use the word agony. Okay, agonized. He's agonized. We move on to scene 3. Okay. So we come to Act 3, Scene 3, which is now the venue is a street in Venice. And the picture rightly shows where there's a jailer. You can see the key in his hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, no.
Yes, so we have Shylock, Salerno, Antonio, and the gaoler. Now, the Antonio actually requests the gaoler to take him to Shylock. Maybe he wants to plead with Shylock one last time and appeal to him and see and maybe try his luck whether he has good sense and he doesn't go for the forfeiture of his bond. So Shylock, it's on a street. So Shylock is actually, he is obsessed. By now you can see him, you can understand or visualize where Shylock is obsessed with the bond and he wants the death of Antonio. So Shylock it's literally shouting, "Gaoler, look to him, tell not me of mercy. This is the fool that lent out money gratis. Gaoler, look to him." So he's asking the jailer or the gaoler who's brought Antonio to look at him. This is a person who's been granting money without any interest. And now look at his condition. Look at him very closely, because you would not see such a person anywhere else. Now, Antonio, hear me yet, good Shylock. Antonio is trying to be heard. Shylock is just not in the frame of mind to hear Antonio. And Antonio is very soft. He's very quietly trying to make Shylock hear him. So Shylock, he's not at all listening to him. "Shylock, I'll have my bond. Speak not against my bond. I have sworn an oath that I will have my bond. Thou callest me dog before thou hadst a cause." So you had a cause before when you called me a dog. But since I am a dog, beware my fangs. So since you have called me a dog, you've called me a cur before this. If you've seen in the Act 1, you've called me all this. So obviously a dog does have teeth, sharp teeth. So I have my fangs and I'm showing it now. "The Duke shall grant me justice." Now it's the Duke who will give me justice. I believe in the justice system, legal system. "I do wonder, thou naughty gaoler." So he says, you naughty. When he says naughty, he wants to talk about him. He is mentioning as him being foolish. How could you get him out? "Thou naughty gaoler, thou art so fond to come abroad with him at his request. You have conceded to his request and you brought him out of jail," is what he's trying to tell him, that you are foolish. You don't understand. Look at him. Look at the state he is in. He doesn't deserve to be coming out and appealing to me. Now here, again and again, he is referring to "the Duke shall grant me justice," because we've seen this also in the earlier act, wherein I have said Venice is a trade hub. So it was that Renaissance age wherein there was lots of trade happening. And law was a backbone of the Venetian economy, because there was so many trade happening between so many countries. Now, if the law was not followed in Venice, it would also send a very wrong signal. So the trade could be affected. And hence he keeps talking about the legal system, because he knows the Duke will not go away from it. He will follow the legal system or whatever is there, the rules laid out. Now, Antonio says, "I pray thee hear me speak." So he's asking him to actually pleading with him to, not actually begging, but asking him to please hear him speak. "Shylock, I'll have my bond. I will not hear thee speak." Now, if you realize he's so obsessed with his bond, he has mentioned it so many times in this whole scene. And it is his anger that is actually coming out when he keeps repeating the same words again and again. "I'll have my bond. I will not hear thee speak. I'll have my bond and therefore speak no more." So he feels that maybe if he speaks something, okay, he has decided he's not going to change his mind. But even then, he doesn't want the slightest thing happening wherein he would not be able to go ahead with his bond. So he just doesn't want to hear him. "I'll not be made a soft and dull-eyed fool." So I do not want to be made into or seen as a fool who will be easily persuaded. A soft and dull-eyed fool is a stupid person, someone who could be easily persuaded. So I'm not giving you a chance to speak at all. "To shake the head, relent, and sigh, and yield to Christian intercessors." So he says that I am not going to be called a fool or foolish or stupid to listen to you, and then to shake my head, that is to say a yes, relent, that is surrender or allow, and sigh and yield to Christian intercessors. Intercessors are those who plead for something or beg for something. So I'm not such a person. Follow not, I have no speaking. That is, do not follow me, I have no conversation. So he's actually moving away from that place. He says, do not follow me, I am not going to speak to you. I do not want any conversation with you because I will only have my bond. Now here Shylock is adamant because somewhere, if you recollect all that he talked about, there was a monologue of him. There was also something where he said how Jews have been oppressed. So he is adamant because he feels that if Antonio dies, maybe a precedent will be set, and also after Antonio's death, as a merchant, he can earn more profits. So he doesn't mind a person dying for financial benefits also. So it shows how hard-hearted he is. Now Shylock starts moving away from there. Now Salerno and Shylock, in fact, he moves away from there and he goes inside. His house is just near. They have come to his house and they're out on the street, and he goes inside and slams the door on their face. Now Salerno is really enraged because Salerno is also there with Antonio, and he literally shakes her fist at that closed door and says, "It is the most impenetrable curse. He is a disgusting
Ma'am,
dog."
can you repeat the line which you just said?
Yes,
About
ma'am.
about
Couldn't hear
Salerno.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So Salerno at this point of time, he's there with Antonio, and he's so angry with the way Shylock is reacting and not even ready to hear Antonio. So the minute Shylock goes inside and he slams the door on their faces, he's actually shaking a fist at him from outside, and he says, he is the most impenetrable cur. That is, he is the most heartless dog who cannot be persuaded, that ever kept from men. That is, a cur is actually a street dog, and he says he is the most heartless one, and that has ever kept company with men. So this person, this dog is along with men, and hence he says a dog with men is not supposed to be like that, and he is the most disgusting dog that has ever been with men. Now Antonio, he's quiet. He's somewhere, he has resigned himself. Though he's tried his chances, he's resigned himself to the situation, and he says, let him alone. That is, leave him alone. I'll follow him no more with bootless prayers. So he says, I'm not going to go around and pester him or plead of him or beg of him for anything. My pleas are useless. Bootless prayer is useless pleas. He seeks my life. So it's very clear that he wants my life. His reason, well, I know. So he very clearly understands because Shylock has spelled it out time and again. I oft delivered from his forfeitures. So he's saying that I have, okay, let me finish the next two lines. Many that have at times made moan to me, therefore he hates me. So he says, I have often rescued from his clutches people who have actually got stuck in him, like they have borrowed from him and then on he's charged heavy interest. So I have actually rescued people from his clutches when they have not been able to pay their debts. And this is why he hates me. So I not only give money to someone who needs it without interest, but I've also rescued people who have been in his debt and saved them. So that is why he hates it. So the reason is very clear. Apart from all the abuse that he has done, okay? Salerno, I'm sure the Duke will never grant this forfeiture to hold. So Salerno says that, Salerno is still having hope. He says that I'm sure that the Duke will not allow such a penalty to be imposed. It is unthinkable. A person's life just for 3,000 ducats. Antonio says now, the Duke cannot deny the course of law for the commodity that strangers have with us in Venice. That the commodity that strangers have with us in Venice, if it be denied, will much impeach the justice of the state. So he, just like I had said some time back, Antonio is very sure, okay, he's a matter-of-fact person. He says that the Duke will not interfere with the course of law. He will allow the law to take its own course because for the commodity, that is the rights which the foreigners have, strangers are here, other foreigners have in Venice, cannot be denied to them. With us in Venice, if it be denied, will much impeach the justice of the state. Because if the rights are denied, even if one person is denied the rights, it will do more harm to the justice of our state and also to the trade and business, since that the trade and profit of the city consisteth of all nations. So he says, any anyone who's denied justice, it will turn out against the whole state. So even if the Duke has a soft heart for, or a soft place for Antonio, he cannot take his side because the whole Venice will see it. And then it will actually affect their trade and business transactions, which they have with many of the nations. Therefore go. So he asks him to go. He asks Salerno to go. These griefs and losses have so baited me. So he says, these griefs, the tensions and the losses, the worries that I've been going through have actually baited me, that is, affected me. Have affected me so much that I shall hardly spare a pound of flesh tomorrow to my bloody creditor. So he says, I have lost so much of weight thinking and worrying about all these losses. I have lost a lot of weight that I hardly have a pound of flesh on me for the next day. That is when it will come wherein I have to pay a pound of flesh to my creditor, that is Shylock. Tomorrow to my bloody creditor is Shylock. So here it shows that he is resigned to his fate. He's ready to go ahead. Well, Goler. So again, he refers to a jailer and he says, pray God, Bassanio, come to see me pay his debt, and then I care not. He says, okay, Goler, let's go ahead. Let's go back. And he says that is one wish that he has, that Bassanio may come to see him pay his debt. Because Bassanio, it's not that he wants to rub it in that he's in this condition because of Bassanio, but somewhere Bassanio is very dear to him. He's a very dear friend and he wants to see him. And then if he sees Bassanio, he says, then I do not care for anything more. So here somewhere you see his obsession, Shylock's obsession with the Bond scene. It also takes the story or the plot ahead for informing the audience that Portia, what Portia has in mind. So this has been a very short scene. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Couple of things before I go on to the next scene. Okay, we'll do a little bit of the next scene, a very little bit. But before that, the next time I'll be taking, I'll finish with the Act 3 for the next period. I don't know when I'll have it. After the scene 4, we'll move on to the poem, The Patriot. Okay, so you can keep your treasure troves with you. So we'll do the poem Patriot. At the same time, I will be sending you some questions for a project. Now the questions would be the ones from the acts that you've already done and the chapters, that is the prose and the poem that you've already done. So you need to make a draft of it. I'll let you know if you can send it to me, but I would insist that you'll write it properly on a page. We'll see when we can address it. Maybe, yes?
On assignment papers?
I think you don't have assignment papers, right?
Yeah, that's what
So, yeah, so if you remember last time, we had done a draft first. So we need, for English literature, we need a draft. So you can take any foolscap paper. Okay, you have your notebooks. That is fine. Whichever notebook you have, you can write the answers on that. Now, just like last time, if you remember, we split the whole thing through the year. So we had one on Shakespeare, we had one on prose, and we had one on the poem, right?
Yeah.
So this time, I'll give you all three together. Obviously, there's a choice. You have a choice. Question 1 doesn't have a choice. But question 2 and 3, that is about the poem. You have poems and 2 prose. You can choose one from that. You will at least need to write 400 words for each. Okay, so don't make it short and quick and just finish it off. Just copy paste. Put a thought to it because it's somewhere it will help you understand that scene better. And if it is from the previous acts, please read through it and understand, because it is not only the summary, it is also significance. So look at it and write a draft. Let's see when we can collect it and how I can go about it. But for now, you do that. Maybe I'll ask you to just type it and send it to me also. Let's see, but you wait for the instructions. But in the meantime, address it and finish it off. Keep it to one side. Okay? So you can do one every 2-3 days, address one question, and all together, okay, not separately, literature project, 1, 2, 3, one after the other. But start on a new sheet whenever you write. It is a rough draft, so you can write on both sides. You don't have to leave the second side blank. You can write on both sides of the sheet and continue. But you don't address, when you start with a new question, start at the beginning of the new side. So we go on to Act 3, Scene 4. Any doubts, children? Any doubts on what I had just now talked about, the project?
Ma'am, ma'am, so we need to make a file for this?
You don't have to make a file now. We will have it for the main, that is a fair project. But it's okay to file it and keep, because that same file, a good one, we will use it later on. I don't want it for your rough draft. I don't want a file. I will just collect it. But we will need a file for later on. So now, since you don't have your stationery material, it's fine. There's no need to put it into a file. But put a cover page, yes.
If we do have the assignment papers, should we write in that?
I told you this is rough, so you don't need an assignment paper for it.
Okay.
You can just pull out some long page book from you. You have your rough books or your tuition books or anywhere where you have, you know, long pages. Or even if you don't have a long page, that's fine. You can just pull up some of your.
Ma'am, the topics, I didn't get that.
I'll be sending it. I will be sending it. You'll have one question from Merchant of Venice, one from Treasure Trove Prose, and one from the poem, just like we did last time.
Okay.
But this time all together, that's all. You need to write at least 400 words, okay? 400 to 500 words. Don't go on and on. Put your limit, cap your limit over there.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go to Act 3, Scene 4. We'll do a part of it before we break. And remember, next time we'll do this as well as keep your treasure trove with you. We'll do the Patriot also next time. Okay, Scene 4. Now here again, we go to Belmont. That is a room in Portia's house. And if you recollect, I've not got the PowerPoint here, so I'll let this be on the screen. So if you recollect that Portia, Nerissa, Lorenzo, Jessica, and Balthazar are there here at Belmont. The others have already left. Now Lorenzo says, Madam, although I speak it in your presence, you have a noble and a true conceit. So he says, I do not hesitate. Lorenzo is saying, I do not hesitate to speak in your presence. That you have a very good understanding of the friendship between friends. So he is actually impressed with the way Portia has actually handled the whole situation. And he's using flattering talk in front of her, in front of Jessica also. Oh, God-like amity. So he says there is a God-like friendship about the whole thing, which appears most strongly in bearing thus the absence of your Lord. But if you knew to whom you show this honor, how true a gentleman you send relief, how dear a lover of my Lord, your husband, I know you would be prouder of your work than customary bounty can enforce you. So he says, if you knew to whom you have shown this honor, which is the honor, that is she has sent as much money, and she sent Bassanio immediately. So these two things she's done. So if you knew what you have done, that is for whom you have done this, that is if you knew the person called Antonio and how good a man he is and to whom you have sent help, how close a friend he is of your husband. So you must have realized he's close, but how close maybe you have not yet fathomed. I know that you would have been, your action says you would have been more proud of what you have done, because it shows how strong their friendship is and how much this mattered. Because Antonio is a very true gentleman, and she would be more proud of what she has done, and that is how he is trying to appreciate her or commend her on the good work that she has just done. Now Portia says, I never did repent for doing good. That is, I have never regretted for having done a good deed. Neither do I regret it now, nor shall not now. So even now, I do not regret it. I'm happy that I have done it. For in companions that do converse and waste the time together, whose soul do bear an equal yoke of love, there must be needs a like proportion of lineaments, of manners, and of spirit. So he says, if Antonio is worthy of Bassanio's friendship, so he well deserves to be rescued from the hell that he is in, or from the clutches of this person called Shylock. So he deserves it if he is actually a true friend of Bassanio. And he says, when two friends spend their time together, he says, when companions that do converse and waste the time together, waste is spent. When two friends come together, they spend their time together. They show deep respect for each other, whose souls do bear an equal yoke of love. That is, Together they share us the same bond of love. There must be some similarity in characteristics, behavior, and disposition between the both of them. So he says that if two friends are so close that they spend time with each other, they have respect for each other, they love each other, their souls are so entwined, so close to each other, there must be some similarity. So she feels that somewhere, if she knows Bassanio, then Antonio would be very much like Bassanio. So he says, if they are together so much, there must be some similarity in their characteristics, that is in their behavior, in their manners, and in their nature, that is their disposition. Spirit is nature or disposition. So this makes me think that this Antonio, being the bosom lover of my Lord, that is this person called Antonio, being the dearest friend of my husband, bosom lover of my, this is the best friend or the dearest friend of my Lord, must need be like my Lord, would definitely be like my husband, that is Bassanio. If it be so, how little is the cost I have bestowed. Now, if that is the case, this is hardly any sacrifice made by me to save a person who is so very much like my husband. So somewhere she may be impressed by Bassanio's looks, but she is also maybe very, she must have understood Bassanio to be a very honest person. So she feels that it is then my duty, then it is nothing great that I have done because I have saved another person just like Bassanio from such a horrible misery. So it's not a great deed that I have done. So how little is the cost I have bestowed in purchasing the semblance of my soul from out the state of hellish cruelty. So it says that if this is the case, there's hardly any sacrifice made by me to save someone who is just like my husband from a horrible misery. That sounds too much like giving credit to myself. So she says, I will not talk any more of it. So this comes too near the praising of myself, therefore no more of it. So he says, I don't want to talk. It looks like I'm praising myself. So let's stop this talk here itself. I've just done my job. I've done my duty. That is it. Now, Lorenzo, now here, there are some instructions that come from Portia. So if you have a pencil in your hand, I would like you to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So instructions. Now she is going to leave the place, Belmont, with her maid, that is Nerissa. So before that, she instructs Lorenzo, I commit into your hands the husbandry and manage of my house. So he says, I entrust you the care. He says, I'm going to entrust you the care to manage my household, the husbandry and manage of my house, until my Lord returns. For mine own part, I have towards heaven breathed a secret vow to live in prayer and contemplation, only attended by Nerissa here, until her husband and my Lord's return. There is a monastery 2 miles off, and there we will abide, that is, we will stay. I do desire you not to deny this imposition, to which my love and some necessity now lays upon you. So he says that I would like now to do something else. So in the previous line, we see that she's being very modest and she doesn't want praise. She doesn't want to hear any more praise of herself. So she says, she changes the topic very quickly and she says that I've got some other request of you, Lorenzo. She says, I am going to entrust you, commit into your hands, that is, entrust you to the care of my household until my husband comes back. I commit into your hands the husbandry, that is managing, okay, looking after and managing of my house until my Lord returns, because only when my Lord returns will I also come back. For mine own part, that is where I am concerned, I have another job to do. I have towards heaven breathed a secret vow, that is, I have made a solemn vow to live in prayer and contemplation, that is meditation. So I have decided now that I'm going to live for some time in prayer and contemplation with no one else with me except Nerissa. See, her plan is unrolling, okay, without the others realizing. Now we as readers understand a little bit of it. So he says, I'm going to be attended only by Nerissa, no one else. I'm going to go to a monastery until her husband and my Lord return. There is a monastery 2 miles off. So I'm not going to do my meditation and my prayer here in Belmont in the palace. I'm going to go to a monastery which is 2 miles away. There I will abide, that is stay, live for some time. I do desire you not to deny this imposition, that is this request. I hope that you will not deny me this request. And I request you not to refuse a task, which this task, that is this request, the which my love and some necessity now lays upon you, which my love and my present necessity makes me place upon you. So it is a necessity now for me, and I'm requesting you to do this. So hence, please do not deny me this. It is very, very imperative for me to be doing this because she has rolled out a plan and she is going to go to Venice. So she says it's very imperative without giving out a great deal. Says you cannot refuse me. Now Lorenzo is mighty pleased to actually do what she wants. She says, Madam, with all my heart, I'll do it wholeheartedly. I shall obey you in all fair commands. I'll just take a little bit more and then we can break. Portia says, my people do already know my mind. So she says it's a big house. She's got a palace there. So she says, my servants, my people, they already know my mind. They know already about what I'm going to do, about the vow and this that I'm going to take and I'm going to go off. And will acknowledge you and Jessica in place of Lord Bassanio and myself. And you will be the master and the mistress in this house in our absence. So they will acknowledge you. So you will stay here as the master and the mistress of this house. And so farewell till we shall meet again. So goodbye till we meet again. Lorenzo says, fair thoughts and happy hours attend on you. So he says, may your hours pass happily. I wish your ladyship all hearts content. Jessica also wishes her good luck and says, let all your desires be fulfilled. Now Portia says, thank you for your wishes. And then she says a goodbye. Jessica and Lorenzo go out. And now she has some instructions for Balthazar. Okay. Now Balthazar is the servant over there. Now the instructions that she gives. Now Balthazar, as I have ever found thee honest, true. So he's a very trustworthy servant to her. And he says, I have always found you very trustworthy, honest, true. Honest and true, that is trustworthy, but let me find thee still. But there is one more thing that I want to continue finding you like this because I have got one more assignment for you. Take the same letter and use thou all the endeavor of a man. So he says, take the letter here that I have made, hurry up and go as fast as possible. Take all the endeavor, the effort of a man, that is, be as fast as possible. And speak to Padua. Padua is a place that she wants to go. See thou render this into my cousin's hand, Dr. Valerio. So there you will see a person who is my cousin and hand this letter to him in his hand and look what notes and garments he doth give thee. And then he will give you some notes and garments. That is, he will give you some documents and also some garments, robes. He will give it to you. So get back. Now these are the roles of a lawyer. So she's got her plan all chalked out. Bring them, I pray thee, with imagined speed. So with all the speed that you can, get them back from him once he gives it to you. And upon the tranect to the common ferry which strays to Venice, waste no time in words, but get thee gone. I shall be there before thee. So he says, now you will go to Padua, give this letter to my cousin, Dr. Valerio, and in turn, he will give you some documents and robes. And now bring them with the utmost speed that you can to the public ferry. That is the place where the public ferry docks, the landing place. And then hand it over to me, which carries passengers for hire to Venice, because she plans to catch that ferry to Venice. Do not waste time in talking, but go at once. I shall be at the ferry before you reach there. So before he can actually go to Padua and come back, she will be at the ferry. Balthazar says, I will go as fast as I can because he's a very trustworthy servant. Says, I'll go immediately. Come on, Nerissa, I have work in hand that you yet know not of. So Nerissa doesn't know the plan that is in our mind. We'll see our husbands before they think of us. Before they think where the wives have gone, let us go and just meet them. And will they see us there? Says, yes, they will see us there. Let's wait. I'll not take Portia here, but it'll take a long time. So let's stop at Balthazar. And is this clear to you, Talia?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have the plan has started, wherein she's actually chalked out the whole plan and she's ready to take up her job wherein she would have to assist Bassanio in freeing Antonio.